Like you can see earlier, we had a discussion wherein we had basically worked on creating completely built unit pricing. We had gone into pricing here and we had taken price as completely built unit here. Now, along with completely built unit, we had also discussed the exclusion list and all. So this part of the discussion was done. Anyone who was not part of the previous discussion can request for a video link for the previous discussion and then check out the same. Today we will go into advanced pricing. So now let's take one cabinet. Let's take this particular cabinet and we will just clone it so that we can take that as a sample and show you how to do advanced pricing. Now, advanced pricing basically is your raw material pricing, meaning that if you have a particular cabinet, then if you want to create the pricing such that each and every material used in the cabinet, that is your plywood, your laminate, your edge bands, everything, the size that it is used in, as per that size, if you want the pricing to come, then that is the advanced pricing solutioning that we offer. Now, for advanced pricing solutioning, please understand that you would definitely need the pricing add-on. You will not be able to do it if you have only a basic subscription of Infurnia. If you want to have advanced pricing, please take a add-on and then you can do the same. Now, first of all, let's say I'm just cloning it in the new group here, and we will just clone it and name it as test advanced pricing. Okay. We're naming the group and the SKU in the same way, and we'll just clone the SKUs here and we will submit it. So now you can see that there's a test for advanced pricing created here. We will go into the edit properties of this, and here we'll go into pricing. Now you can see that completely built unit we have already discussed. Now you should select price from constituent elements for the cabinet if you want to price it from constituent elements, right? So here it is selected already. Now what you can see is that since this is price from constituents, now let's understand what items are required. This particular cabinet, what we will do is that we will add this particular cabinet in a design and then see how the pricing is calculated. Okay. Deleting this, we are just inserting that same cabinet that we have in base unit, in shutter. We have this test for advanced pricing. So I will add this here in the cabinet. You can see it's now added. Now, what are the components? If you look at this particular cabinet, right? If you look at this particular cabinet, then let's say I'm just removing the countertop from here. So if you look at this cabinet, there are all these panels. There are this is the left panel, right panel, the back panel, bottom panel, and in the top, there are two rail panels. Then there is a shutter. A combination of all these panels forms the cabinet, right? So the cost of each panel is calculated on Infurnia. The cost of each panel. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 panels in this cabinet, and the price of all these 7 cabinets will be calculated and added, and that will be the price of the total cabinet. So if I go into production and pricing now, just to show you, I'm just showing you first. You can see this is the pricing. We have not set the pricing yet. Please remember, we are just showing you first. So if you go into details, you can see carcass and you can see shutter. See carcass left panel. There is a pricing for it. It is not set yet. That is why it is 0. But each of the panels, you can now see next carcass right panel. You can see pricing. So when you set the pricing for each and every one, then all the pricings will get added here, and all the 7 panels, like you can see, there are 6 panels here. You can see this is the 6th panel, right? 6 panels here, and this is shutter is the 7th panel. So all the 7 panels here will be calculated in pricing and then added here the total price. That is called constituents. Now, constituent just does not mean that all the panel pricing will be calculated. Panel, now for each of the panels, how is the cost calculated? That is the discussion that we'll have. Okay. For each of the panels, what is the cost calculated? Now, let us understand that for this cabinet, first, if you look at this panel, we will take this panel, let's say, which is the right carcass right panel, we will take as a reference and we will start our discussion. So if you see this, then there is to create this panel, there was a raw material used, which is the core material, which can be BWR, MDF, any sort of ply, right? So first of all, let us set that. So in the admin, you will see in hardware, you will see that you have the option of ply. So from this only you are selecting ply, right? So whichever ply you select, you have to give it a pricing of that, but you have to basically, that price has to be added for each of the plies here. And whichever ply you select, whatever price that is, that will be allocated. Now let's say, for example, we will not take all this, we will just take the 22 BWR right now, and we will set the pricing for that only. So you can see 22 BWR ply. I'll go into details of this. Here in pricing, you can see it is priced as 100 rupees price. Default price is square foot. Tax is 18%. Margin is 20%. And the selling price per square foot of the BWR ply is 147.50. So this is the price that is there. Now let us use this particular um, ply in our carcass. Here, let's say we will also check that what is the linking of it. There is no linking. Okay. So we will just check here that in the core material, we will change the carcass to the 22 BWR ply where we had taken.
Hello.
I'm sorry.
Hello.
Yeah, actually, you have two systems in the same place, I think, and it's echoing. Hello.
Hello. Ma'am, am I audible?
Yeah.
Actually, ma'am, I am saying we are more comfortable in Hindi language.
We will have to go with the common language because we will have to go with the common language, which is English for now. So if you want it in Hindi, then you can have a discussion separately. We will schedule a discussion in Hindi also,
Okay, ma'am.
right?
Right.
I'll try to I'll try to talk. आप एक बार अगर सिर्फ
Yeah.
स्क्रीन देखिए ना, तो आपको
Ma'am,
स्टेप
can
चली जाएंगे.
जी मैम बट एक्चुअली अगर इंग्लिश हो जाए तो बेटर रहेगा.
क्या?
इंग्लिश मिडल.
ये मतलब
ओके मैम, नो प्रॉब्लम. कैरी ऑन.
sorry.
ओके मैम, कैरी ऑन.
So what we were discussing was that if you look at it, this is the panel which we were discussing, and we have in the core material we have a 22 BWR ply which we have added, and in the shutter also we will add the same core material for now, 22 BWR ply. Now you can see that the ply added is that. Now let us open a calculation pad here, Excel, and we are just trying to calculate everything here. Okay. Now, how are we calculating the price here? We're just trying to show you that the price is calculated is correct. Now, if you look at it for the left panel here, I'll start from the beginning here. So you can see we are taking the reference of the right end panel here, right? So for the right panel here, if I look at the panel, if I go into the panel here, I can see in dimensions, I can see the dimension of the panel that is there. What is the dimension? 720, 560, and the height is 24 mm. 24 mm, why? Because 22 mm thickness of the ply plus 1 mm laminate on both sides. Okay. So you see 720 and 560 first. First of all, width of that panel is 720 mm. Then depth of that panel is 560 mm, right? And height, we will leave it for now. But you will be able to understand The conversion ratio, first of all, we'll put the conversion ratio also here. I hope all of you are aware that the conversion ratio for to square feet is 304.1.8. So if this is in right now, right? And if I take it in square feet, then, sorry, if I take to feet. So if I take it in feet here, then I just have to convert it in the way that equal 720 divided by this conversion factor, right? And the same thing I will copy here also. Same thing I'll copy here also. Then for that panel, you will see that the area of that panel is equal to this into this. So this is the area. And what was the SP of the core material that you had? Please remember, we are discussing core material pricing right now. Okay. So if you look at the SP of the core material, it was 147. Here, if you go into SKU properties, you can see here in pricing that the pricing was 147.50, right? So it is 147.50. Now, if you check the price, total price here, then equal this into this. So you can see that the price of the core material right now is 640 rupees 0.14. Okay. Right now, this is the cost of the core material. Then comes, there is one more factor to be considered, but we will talk about it in the end. Okay. Then the next comes that in this particular panel, you can see above the core material on both sides, there is a laminate which is fixed, right? So that laminate will also have a pricing. Now, let's say we go into, just like how we check the ply pricing, we will go into finish and we will go into laminate and we'll take one of the laminates, for example. Okay. So let's take a solid laminate for now and we'll take absolute white. If we go into pricing of this, in pricing here, we will set the pricing here as 100 rupees per square foot. We will put the tax as 18% tax and the margin as 30% margin. So now the price that comes is 168.57. Now what we will do is that we will go into your design, and here in cabinet again we will take the external and internal finish. For example, we'll take the same finish right now. If I go into the change here, I'll go into laminate and I'll select the same finish that I had added the price to. Just because we are doing it for one particular price to show you how the pricing works, you are you have to basically select the same one. When you set the price of everything, the price will start coming accordingly, right? You don't have to like really select the same one only, of course. So in solid, you can see absolute white. You can see now in absolute white the carcass is there, and even for the internal finish we will go into the change here and we will put absolute white here also, right? So you can see now that the panel has a finish of absolute white. Now since we had made some changes there, I'll just refresh the cache here once so that it is updated. Okay. Now, same thing, where how much ever area there was for the core material, the laminate also same area, right? So basically, we can just copy this particular thing and add it here, and we'll have to make some changes in the formula, of course. Here you can see I'm just changing the formula. Here we are looking at internal, external finish of the panel. Okay. So for example, you can see now the price of that laminate is 168.57. 168.57. So the price of one side of the laminate is this much. But the laminate is fixed on two sides, right? It's fixed on this side and it's fixed on this side also. So there are two sheets of laminate, like two areas of the two sides of the area that you have to calculate. So you simply have to multiply this into 2. And suppose your internal and external laminate are different, then you can again calculate the same thing again and change the SP for that. Like suppose you calculate the same thing here and you change the SP for that, and you'll get the price and you can add it. Just because in this case we have taken the same finish, so the price is same, we can just multiply, right? Total price for both sides. Okay. Now this is the price. Now along with your um, along with your external internal finish, the last thing is your edge band. Now you need to understand how these edge bands are getting added. If you look at it, there is edge bands on all sides that will be added, right? So if I select this particular if I select this particular cabinet here, then in carcass, I have the option of adding edge band also. You have to understand what is visible edge band and what is invisible edge band here. So let's say in admin, we go into hardware and here we have edge band. Okay. So when you have edge band, you can select any of the edge bands here. Let's just open that first and then we will continue. So let's say, for example, we'll take this beige one only. I'll go into the SKU properties of this in pricing. I'll set the price. It is priced at 10 rupees per meter, and the tax, let's say I'll put as 18%, margin I'll put as 10%. Okay. So the selling price becomes 13.11. And what I'll do is I will add invisible and invisible, the edge bands, I'll add beige. Let's say visible. First, you have to understand what is visible edge band, what is invisible edge band. Okay. If this panel has four sides, then there are certain sides of the panel which are visible. Like you can see, this is a visible side of the panel. This edge band, even if you fix it here, it will be visible to the naked eye, right? So some people, they have a certain type of edge band here, but in the areas where there is it is not visible. Like in the bottom panel, this edge band or this edge band is not visible because it is hidden by this side panel. So they put another panel here. So in this way, you can actually have to calculate it accordingly. But visible and invisible edge bands can be added however you want, like that. So you have two options here: visible and invisible. What I'll do is, I'll to keep it slightly simple, I will take beige for both here. So you can see I have added beige for both, and as I have selected that the edge bands here that is running here will will have a particular length, right? First of all, edge bands are fixed on the sides, on all the sides of the panel. So if you select the edge band, you have to first select how much area the edge band is running on. So width, width, height. So you have to calculate it like that. Now, if I select this here and if I add this here, then I have already taken this meter. So now you don't have to convert it because the price we have taken it there is in meter, right? So let's say if you want to change it also, you can change it. You can take it as foot also. You can take it 10 rupees per foot also and update it. We will not mix two dimensions right now so that it's not confusing for anyone. Again, we will convert it here. So you can see how much is the uh, area, the length of edge band, the length of the edge band that you are using. How will you calculate that? You will calculate that basically equal to this plus this. And of course, you have to multiply it by 2 because there are 4 sides to it, right? So you'll multiply it by 2, right? You see, length of the edge band is this much. And per length, you had put a price here. If you look at this, per length, you had put a price here of 13.11. So you can see SP is 13.11. Now, total price of the edge band is equal to this into this. So this much is the price of the edge band. Now, what happens is that this three items you have to make a total of this. Total price of panel. Total price of panel will be equal to this plus this plus this. So you can see total price of the panel is this much that is coming here. Now there will be a small difference. Let's just check the price here first. Let's just check the price of that panel here once. And then we will go into, there will be a small difference that you will see in what the software is showing versus what we calculated. And we will tell you why that difference is coming also. So if you go into the details of this, we were discussing the right carcass panel. So you can see the price of that panel is 2092.68. So we are getting 2213.45, whereas the price as per software is 2092.68. 2092.68. Now we need to understand why this difference. The difference is because the software is very, very accurate in terms of calculation. It takes every into account. For example, the first cause of the change is because when you're putting a edge band, the total size of your panel is 720 cross 560, but the edge band will have a certain thickness, right? When you're adding that edge band thickness, then the dimension of your panel core material and laminate will decrease, so that the total size is 720. For example, let's say here you can see that uh, the edge band that we have used has a thickness of 0.8. 0.8. So if on the both sides this 0.8 is added, like let's say, let's go back here and just see this. See, if you see here, if on this panel on both sides, this size is 560, right? But on both sides, there's a 0.8 edge band, because of which the size of the core material laminate decreases by 1.6. That is why, that is a difference that the software accounts for. So this width that we have been calculating, right? 720 and 560. This has to have a minus 1.6. The thickness of uh, the thickness of the edge band is something that you have to take into account. So minus 1.6 on all sides. This is for the core material we reduce. Then we have to reduce for the laminate also, right? So 1.6 here and 1.6 here also, right? So now you can see that the price has reduced here. The price has reduced in terms of some amount here. Then even if you look at your um, even if you look at your pricing, if you look at your pricing here details, you can see the length here for the edge band also. Like if you want to cross check it yourself, basically you can see the length here also. So you have to reduce it in your edge band as well, wherever you're using it. You can see your visible and invisible edge bands everywhere. It is, that is a dimension that is calculated, which is 558.14. So same thing you will have to do here also in the edge band, minus 1.6, and here as well minus 1.6. So this is again a dimension that is getting reduced here. But now, lastly, if you look at the panel, right? So if you look at your particular panel here, like if you look at this particular panel, you can go into the panel here. You can go into dimensions of, you can go into construction of that particular panel, and You have to check that there are no extensions in this particular panel at all, which is one reason why this might, if there are extensions or anything, right? If in the shutter, for example, you might have certain extensions put. For example, let's say I'm selecting the shutter. In case of that, this is another factor that you have to reduce from the overall prices. So extension parameter, you can see here, in this particular panel in the shutter, there is no extension parameter, but sometimes in this particular cabinet there is no extension anywhere. But if there is an extension somewhere at any point, then you will have to, if it's -1, -2 or something like that, then you will have to account for that as well in your particular design, right? In your particular calculation, you'll have to account for that as well. So, in this way, you'll have to basically calculate your entire core material. You'll have to calculate your internal, external material. You have to calculate your final width, height, everything, and then take the pricing out accordingly. If there is if there is a difference that you can see, it will mostly be only about your edge band dimensions that you have, and you can also go into the list and take a reference if you want. Like you can see here in the cut list also, if you want to take exact dimensions for calculation, you can see here that the cutting length and cutting width of this particular panel, this right panel, the cutting width and cutting depth is 1718.4 and 558.4 here. So if you want to see anything, you can even check it in your particular you can check it in your cut list as well. And here, if we just make everything absolute white, and then we will be able to get the exact calculations accordingly. Like basically it's core material, it's finish, and it's edge band that you have to take together. And then the final pricing is something that will come as a summation of all these panels, and a price of all these particular panels together will give you the calculation of the entire cabinet cost. This cabinet can again have your any if you have any handles or anything added to that, then the price of that will also get added. Like if you go into pricing here, when you're going into the pricing and you're going into details here, so you can see here that each of the cabinets, all the prices here will be added here. Like you can see all the prices that are there, each of the particular panels, everything is added here, and accordingly the price is coming. So if you go and add prices to everything, then your prices will start matching. You do not need to go into each and every one like how I did and add prices. You can go into a particular finish and go into acrylic, let's say. And here, if you go and select everything, let's say, and then you can go into bulk edit, and you can go into proceed, you can go into individual ones in sales channel, and herein you can add prices for each of the finishes together one by one. You don't have to basically go into each and every one and make changes there. You can actually do it in bulk as well. You can go into bulk edit and make those changes. That is something about advanced pricing. We can take questions from people right now on, if we understand that it's a slightly vast topic and it's slightly complicated to set up for everyone, but this is only for advanced users who have the add-on. So if you have queries, and or if you're not able to understand something, I would be happy to explain again. uh, Please let me know if there are any queries that people have. Is there any question that we can take up today? Even if it is about the basic pricing also, we can take up the question. Yes.
Yes, Rishi has been here from Shimoga Interiors.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, hi. You were not the part of the first presentation. Anyways, you told you will send the video so that we will go through it. And I think what the presentation you had given for the advanced user, I think we are in basic plan, if I'm not wrong. So in
Yes.
basic also, there is an option for the quotation preparation, right?
Yes, there is a part for basic as well, which is a CBU based pricing, basically a completely built unit pricing. So I'll just post this on the group right now. We
Mhm.
have done it on February 8th, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, this is the basic pricing. So I'll just share the link with you right now,
Yeah.
and you can watch this.
Okay.
You will be able to do pricing for basic CBU level pricing as the, so if you're on a design plan, basic CBU level pricing is something that you'll be able to do that.
Hmm. So this advanced level, if we are going for the cutting list, then you will be you would require this pricing, this kind of a pricing, is it?
Not like that. It
Mhm.
depends on what is the pricing solution that you have right now with your organization. If you do raw material pricing, basically, if you calculate, if you understood what I was trying to implicate, it was basically that there is a cabinet. How many ever panels are there to form that cabinet? Each of those panels pricing is calculated, and the price of the cabinet comes. Then each of the panel, the
What
cost of it,
happens? Sorry to interrupt, Rishi. What happens in the basic pricing for this cabinet?
then it becomes a width into length calculation. You can take a dimension of the width into length, basically
Okay.
whatever is the cabinet's cost. If you look at this particular cabinet, right, whatever you put as the cabinet's cost, let's say I'll go into this cabinet itself in base unit.
Hmm.
In advance, if you go into edit properties, you can change it as completely built unit. Okay, and here you can put a default price to it, let's say 100 rupees, and you can put a tax of, let's say, 18%, or you can put a margin also 20%, whatever. And you can make it a per unit pricing, or you can make it a square foot pricing. Okay, so square foot pricing, if you put it, it means that, here I will just refresh the cache here. Now, if I generate pricing for this, then it will be length in width into height. Does not take depth into consideration, because that is not usually considered. It's only area based basically. So you can see the pricing here is 411. So 411 is basically calculated based on 300 into 560, whatever is the, sorry, 300 into 720, whatever is the calculation.
Mhm. So there the pricing it was somewhere around 2000 rupees. It has come.
Yeah, but I put different pricings, no?
Acha, acha. Okay.
It's not like it is the same pricing will come, because you
I
put
got it. I got it.
you
But
put the
basically,
pricing correctly.
what I'm basically intend to ask is, see, right now we are doing in the Excel sheet. Okay. So after going this the the Infurnia, with having the basic plan itself, can we I just want to know the difference basically. Why I would go with the advanced. I
If
mean,
you want a very accurate calculation of, along with raw
that I
material,
got it. That I got it. Accuracy, I got it. For example, if I do the same calculation, same pricing for this particular cabinet in the basic, say for example, it will come 2000 rupees. So, what is that? The pricing difference? Any pricing difference will be there, or how is it?
pricing difference will not come. Just
Mhm.
that you have to calculate it manually and put square feet rate for everything and keep.
In basic.
In basic, you have to
Which
calculate, like, you have to calculate what is the square feet rate you have, and you have to manually calculate and then add it to everything.
got it, got it. Which we already have it right now. What we are preparing in Excel, we already have it. That actually what your advanced does is if we draw a particular cabinet while designing, so that itself will be taken into the consideration in the pricing in a very micro level also.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
You can have one consultation with your CSM also on this.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
understand they will be able to guide you by looking at your current quotation.
yeah, yeah. Thanks.
Thank you. But you can check the video that I have posted. I have clearly described how to do the pricing here. And next week we will also be putting up a course for pricing setting, and it'll be part of. I think for your training you are using our LMS portal right now, right? Where you have the courses that you are doing. There are new courses also coming up. One is your about your pricing, so you can take that particular session also. It will be more detailed, and when we are doing a webinar, what happens is uh, it is not possible for us to put in everything, but the courses will have a lot of details, so you guys can go and do those courses also.
Got it. Thanks. Thanks.
Does anyone else have any other query that we can take? If there are no queries, we'll be closing the session. However, I recommend that when we are launching our pricing course next week, I recommend people to just uh, take that course once. It will be more structured in terms of showing you examples, and you can basically check all of the details there. We will be in the next session of our webinars. Post links also of it, and you can check. You can take those courses. One will be about your catalog management, and one will be about your pricing setup. So you can take it up accordingly. Thank you so much.